Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, today we are going to talk about the roads to fact checking and how to kind of avoid falling for bad information. How to fact check yourself, some techniques that I use, questions to ask yourself before you share something, stuff like that. This was highly requested after a recent video over on the other channel. Okay, so we're going to jump right into this. The first question you need to ask yourself, you're scrolling on your feed and you see a meme, okay? And you want to share it because there's information on it and it's just shocking, right? Does it confirm what you already believe? Is it something you want to believe? If the answer is yes, and it normally is, you have confirmation bias coming into play. And it's going to skew your detector because you want to believe it. The next thing is to ask yourself whether or not it's sensationalized. Is it just a wild claim about nukes or, EMPs or whatever? The odds are, if the news is that big, you are not going to find out about it from an image on social media. You'll see either text or you'll see articles. You'll see some kind of real reporting, not just an image with some words slapped onto it. Is the information presented in a sensationalized way? Is it designed to be shocking? Now, all memes, pretty much, they have an image, right? Prior to AI, the way you would deal with this is you would basically just take the image itself, cut it out of the meme, and then upload it to a reverse image search. I liked TinEye, but there's a whole bunch of them out there. And what you would find is that many times that image had been online for years. And the meme says it happened this weekend. They're lying. They're obviously lying. And they know they're lying. Never trust the source again. Now, in a recent Q&A on this channel, somebody asked how I thought AI was going to impact misinformation and disinformation. And I said eventually it was going to lead to more fact-checking because people would get tired of being burned by bad images or bad videos. A couple of days later, an image circulated on Twitter of the Pentagon, and it looked like it had been hit. Giant plume of smoke coming out of it. And it got shared by a whole bunch of people. Some who should have known better. When you have an AI-generated image, you can't use a reverse image search, okay? Because it's a brand new image, it won't be online. So that is also true of breaking events. If it just happened, there's no way for the image to be on there. But what makes it suspicious? What makes it sus, right? It's one image. Something that important, something that is that newsworthy, is not going to be one image. It's not going to just have one image from one angle. That should have been a sign. There was no corroborating messages, posts, tweets on social media. Nobody talking about how, hey, I just had to leave the Pentagon because it was on fire. It seemed like something somebody might mention. There was nothing like that. Just one image shared over and over again with different commentary. When people are using AI right now to create images, what they're doing is they're typing in what they want to see, and it creates the image for them. If they try to get it from a different angle, odds are the images won't look close enough to pass as the same event. So for the time being, until we have better tools, that's something to look for, because it'll probably just be one angle on it. Okay. Quote context verification. You see little bits and pieces of quotes all the time on memes. What's the context behind the quote? Google is your friend here. Take the quote, whatever it is, and type it into Google in quotation marks. So it gives you, Google then knows to search for those words in that order. And it will bring you the quote. It'll bring you the context of when it was said. Read it, see if it actually matches up. Most times it doesn't. They're taking it out of context, they're cherry picking it. The opposite of cherry picking is nut picking. Let's say there is a demonstration somewhere, and there's video of somebody saying, well, what we want is a return to trading with shells, and we want to get rid of the dollar. Okay? That isn't necessarily representative of the entire demonstration. There are, quote, journalists who will go to these events and find people who might have issues and talk to them and get quotes from them and use those and try to pass those off as representative of the whole. They aren't. See, when you see that, you see a wild claim coming out of a group or demonstration, see if it's more than one person or more than one group, because sometimes you'll have two people together. See if it's really representative of the group, because this is how a bad actor can scapegoat somebody. Okay. Obviously, they lie about statistics and stuff like that. You know, figures don't lie, but liars certainly figure. So look to see if it's per capita or raw numbers. Look to see if the stats are actually cited. Look at the methodology of how the statistics were collected. Look at the bar graphs, see if they're truncated. See the year it starts. Like, let's say you have a line graph, and it's showing how great the economy was under Trump. But it starts the year Trump took office. See if you can pull that same information for the 4 years before. I'm using this because Trump supporters actually did this a whole lot. What you will find out is that Trump's great economy, where it starts to shoot up at like, a 45-degree angle, that trend actually started under Obama. It had been going on like that for years. Okay, so another good one, and you'll see examples of a lot of these because somebody sent me something, and we'll go through and do it right now. But linking unrelated events and trying to make them seem as though they're connected. So this could be timeline-wise, things that aren't actually related in any way, shape, or form, or it could be maps and graphs. One that happened recently, there was a job application for an IRS agent, and this was one of the few armed agents. At the same time, there was legislation pending talking about hiring a whole bunch of new IRS agents. The legislation was pending. They certainly weren't hiring for that position already, but bad actors put the two together and made it seem like the IRS was going to hire, 50,000 armed agents. Linking unrelated events that way. You can also do this with the whole correlation and causation thing. You'll see that a lot too. That's normally in the form of a map. A good one to show you how it's done is pulling up the prevalence of mad cow in the UK and support for Brexit. The maps are almost identical. So obviously the only conclusion you can draw is that Mad cow causes, support for withdrawing from the EU. Of course, it doesn't. Causation and correlation are not the same thing. Okay. Another one, dated events that they try to make seem like they just happened. They'll write about something with a new article, sometimes a new dateline, but it happened 5 years ago. But they don't include that in their little article because they want the sensationalism. Oftentimes, they will try to connect this thing that happened years in the past to the present day. And we have an example of that here in a second. Mundane events seeming important. We have an example of that here too that's pretty funny. They ask a lot of questions in the memes. Do you really think this is a coincidence? Can this possibly be normal? That type of thing. They're not telling you that this is happening. They're just asking a question. They do this so their subscribers or their viewers take the blame upon themselves. They say that, well, I drew the wrong conclusion, not that they were manipulated into it. When you look at an outlet, if they have a history of just asking questions about stuff that never happened, stop reading them. If it's an account, stop following it. Is the culprit actually identified? They are out to get you, right? Who is they? Is it just something generic? Liberals, some buzzword. If that's the case, it's probably not true. It's probably not real reporting. Even in a recent video, I was talking about no-fault marriage. Now, this is something that I personally think is probably going to become GOP platform, trying to get rid of no-fault marriage. In that video, I point out the 3 states that have publicly said it. So if you wanted to fact check it, you could go find it. If it's all just very generic and it makes you mad, that's what it was designed to do. Because you're mad, you'll share it, and it increases engagement, it increases revenue. They're using you. They're tricking you. Does it scapegoat a group that doesn't have a lot of power? A good example of this right now is pretty much any meme vilifying trans people. This is not a group of people. This isn't a demographic that has a strong lobby. They don't have a lot of political power. They represent a very small percentage of the United States. But if you were to look at most right-wing outlets right now that peddle in disinformation, you're going to find memes about them all over the place. Because that's the current scapegoat. That's who those outlets want to fearmonger about. Because they don't have a lot of political power. So it's harder for them to fight back. Anytime somebody is trying to get you to blame somebody with less institutional power than you have, they're playing you. Check the comments underneath the meme or article. Odds are somebody already debunked it. Somebody was already like, this isn't true and this is why. Follow their link. See if it's true. Check their work as well. If they're right, make sure you like or share the debunking rather than the actual post. Don't give them the engagement. Make sure that other people see that they lied. And something you can also see is, this is a good sign on YouTube. If you correct them and they block you, it's because they're going to lie again in the future. If you correct them and they pin the comment, it's because they want their information to be right. That's a really good sign on YouTube. Okay. The big thing to remember, view all memes as propaganda, because they are. They're designed to be easily consumable, shareable, viral, and convey information that is designed to make you feel a certain way. It's pretty much every meme out there. View every meme as propaganda, meaning there's no way you're going to get the whole story from a meme. So don't allow yourself to think that it's in any way valid as far as getting actual information. Retrain your algorithm. If you get outlet X and you have fact-checked them twice and they were wrong both times, block them. Get rid of them. Eventually, the algorithm will start showing you a higher quality of stuff. Now, when you catch people engaging in misinformation, disinformation, sharing bad information, comment. Make sure that it's there. Make sure that there's something down below saying, hey, this is bad. Because you can help slow the spread of it. And you can make it less profitable for people to lie to the public. Okay, so here's an example. This is something that I was sent. And it has a whole lot of stuff in it that we're going to kind of go back to because a lot of these are actually in this. Okay, so it says, what do you think of all of this? I really wish I knew where this came from, but 30 tons of explosives are still missing. This is a reference to what's missing on the train. Is it explosives? It's not. It's something you need. You can make stuff out of it, but in the form that it was in, it's more akin to fertilizer. So off top, sensationalized, right? $290 million worth of anti-radiation meds purchased. That's true, that happened. I want to say 2 years ago. Dated event, trying to tie it to something new and current. Senators given satellite phones for emergency communications, but only 50 senators. Does that mean it's only Democrat senators? There's the question. Trying to make it sensational. The information's not right either. It was more than 50. It just gets weirder from here. High-level U.S. politicians will be vacationing Memorial Day weekend with their families at various undisclosed continuity of government locations. There's that jargon. We've talked about that in other videos. A lot of times, to make something seem more official, they will include jargon, continuity of government, COG plans. Those are real. But here's the question. High-level U.S. politicians, which ones? Don't know, right? Vacationing at undisclosed. Then how do you know about it? But more importantly, this is an example of the mundane. Oh, the upper class are going to go on vacation on Memorial Day. Shock, right? But what they're trying to do is tie that to the phones and the radiation meds to make it seem like something's going to happen in D.C. Yeah, just a string of coincidences. Nothing to see here. Not a question, but falls into that same concept, trying to get you to draw the conclusion. So, if you were to actually look into it, at time of filming, the current theory about the train with the stuff missing is that it actually fell out along the track. They're little pellets in the stage that it's in, and that they're scattered all over the tracks. We'll have to see if that holds up, but that's their current theory. So it's a kind of a overview of how to look at this stuff and hopefully safeguard yourself and those who are on your friends list or those who follow you on Twitter from bad information. So I hope that helps. I'm probably going to put together a more in-depth series on this because there was a whole lot of interest in it. So anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.